Chrisley Grandchild has no idea Todd and Julie are in prison. Is there a grandchild who has no idea that Julie and Todd Chrisley are currently behind bars? It appears that is the case, but is there a reason for the lack of information? More so, what is that reason if there even is one? Read on for more details. Grandchild has no idea Julie and Todd Chrisley are in prison. It has not been an easy year since Julie and Todd Chrisley headed to separate prisons. Julie went to one in Kentucky for her 7-year term. As for her husband, Todd, he headed off to Pensacola, Florida, where he has faced deplorable circumstances. Fortunately, Nanny Faye Chrisley went to see Todd for the holidays, and though it was not the same, she got to see her boy. He even did an interview from behind bars to share what the conditions were like. It seems he is struggling, but they are hopeful their faith will prevail, and they will be home sooner rather than later. However, according to a Reddit thread, it seems that Lindsay Chrisley's son, Jackson, is unaware of what is going on. Apparently, he has no idea what is going on with his grandparents, which is sad, but maybe for the best. This is what the OP wrote. I was on the other sub-reading and saw that I believe Lindsay Beth Trent. I think that's his name. But I think he is now her ex. Ex-wife told her kids to tell Jackson that his grandparents are in prison. Which is messed up, because not your business to inform him of that information, and also horrible to involve your kids in that. They went on to note that if Chloe Chrisley can handle this information, then so can Jackson. How did Redditors feel about this? She's so busy being a helicopter parent that she doesn't see. I didn't take it as Lindsay saying he didn't know. Lindsay should have told him where Todd and Julie are better to find out from her than a stranger or kids at school. He does know. Ultimately, it did come out that Jackson knows where Julie and Todd Chrisley are. Someone wrote this to explain it. It's my understanding that he knows, but she felt this was taunting him / making fun and was inappropriate. Which, if that's the case, is definitely true. But Lindsay may have twisted the situation, so who knows. Another noted that Chloe's parents have had troubles with the law, which is why her grandparents adopted her. Therefore, she may be more well-equipped to deal with this. In any case, it was Lindsay's choice what she told her son, so no one can judge. Chloe Chrisley sat cross-legged on the plush, oversized couch, the soft hues of the afternoon sun casting a warm glow on her curly hair. She flipped through a book filled with colorful pictures, her small fingers tracing the outline of a fairy princess with an air of dreamy innocence. The house was bustling as usual, with the familiar background noises of Savannah talking on the phone and the gentle hum of the kitchen blender as Nanny Faye prepared a snack. But amidst the lively household activities, there was a peculiar absence. A subtle void that, for some reason, Chloe couldn't quite put her finger on. It had been months since Todd and Julie Chrisley had left for what the family carefully described as a long trip. Chloe, still in the playful embrace of childhood, had accepted this explanation without question, as children often do when adults speak in serious tones. But children also notice the whispers, the slightly too long silences, the way adults' eyes don't quite meet theirs when discussing certain topics. Chloe noticed these things, even if she didn't fully understand them. Savannah. Chloe called out, her voice bright and curious. Savannah, her older cousin who had taken on the role of guardian, appeared in the doorway with a smile that almost reached her eyes. "What is it, sweet pea?" Savannah asked, sitting down next to Chloe. She ran her fingers through Chloe's hair, an old habit that seemed to soothe them both. "Can I call Papa?" Chloe's innocent question landed heavily in the room. A stone dropped in a still pond. For a moment, Savannah's smile faltered, her carefully constructed mask slipping ever so slightly before she caught herself. "Oh, sweet girl," Savannah said, her voice tinged with a tenderness, that only made Chloe more curious. Papa and Grandma Julie are still away. Remember, they're visiting friends far, far away. The words were spoken with a cheerfulness that rang hollow, but Chloe nodded. She remembered, of course, how Savannah had told her weeks ago that Papa and Grandma Julie had to go on a grown-up trip. But why couldn't she talk to them? Why were they always too busy to even say hello? Chloe didn't voice these questions. Instead, she nodded with the acceptance that only a child could muster. Nanny Faye entered the room, her white curls bouncing as she walked, a tray of warm chocolate chip cookies in her hands. "Here you go, little one," she said, placing the tray on the coffee table. She exchanged a glance with Savannah that spoke volumes, a silent communication woven over years of shared struggles and unspoken concerns. Nanny Faye was a rock, a source of unconditional love that had helped anchor the family through countless storms. Yet even she struggled to maintain the same light-hearted demeanor when close questions came up. She watched the little girl pick up a cookie and take a bite, blissfully unaware that the adults in her life were grappling with how best to protect her from the harsh reality that her beloved grandparents were not on vacation, not at a mysterious friend's house, but in prison. The walls of the Chrisley home seemed to absorb the tension, holding it in their silence. Photos of Todd and Julie, smiling wide with the exuberance they were known for, decorated the space. Their presence lingered in every room. Papa's laughter echoing during game nights, Grandma Julie's soothing voice as she read bedtime stories. Their absence was a wound, one the family had covered up with bandages made of reassurances and half-truths. "Chloe, sweetie, want to help me pick some flowers for the vase?" Nanny Faye asked, her voice animated to disguise the worry that twisted her insides. Chloe's eyes lit up, and she nodded enthusiastically, hopping off the couch with the grace of a small deer. The two made their way to the backyard, where the late summer blooms basked in the afternoon sun. As they picked daisies and wildflowers, Savannah stood at the window, watching them. The weight of responsibility pressed on her, making her shoulders sag. The reality was that Chloe's innocence was a bubble, fragile and beautiful, but temporary. Each day, Savannah wondered when it would pop and how she would explain the truth when it did. How could she tell Chloe that her larger-than-life papa and ever-loving grandma weren't coming back anytime soon? Not because they didn't want to, but because they couldn't. Chloe's laughter pulled Savannah out of her thoughts. The little girl was holding a bunch of wildflowers as though they were the most precious treasure in the world, her eyes sparkling with joy. It was moments like these that made Savannah determined to keep the illusion alive for as long as she could. If protecting Chloe's smile meant weaving an intricate web of stories, then so be it. Back in the house, Chloe placed the flowers in a vase and clapped her hands with satisfaction. "It looks like something Grandma Julie would love," she said, beaming up at Savannah. The comment was like a punch to the gut, and Savannah swallowed the lump that formed in her throat. "Yes, she would," Savannah whispered, forcing a smile. "She would love it." As evening descended and the day's business turned into quiet, Chloe curled up with her stuffed unicorn in her room. The shadows played on the walls, the moon casting a silver glow across her bed. She hugged the unicorn tightly and whispered, "Good night, Papa." "Good night, Grandma Julie." The words were soft, almost like a prayer. In another room, Savannah and Nanny Faye sat with a cup of tea, the silence between them filled with questions neither wanted to voice. How long could they protect Chloe from the truth? How long until the questions came that couldn't be answered with stories of long trips and distant friends? But for tonight, at least, Chloe was safe in her dreams, blissfully unaware of the harsh realities beyond her storybook world. And for tonight, that was enough.